today, instead of doing a video on my C7 Stingray like we normally do, we're going to be doing a video on my buddy Pat, who's coming all the way down from Denver with his Corvette. He drives a C6 Z06. Speaking of which, here he comes now. Now the Z06 has a competition brake system on it. What this means for us is there are 4 brake padlets and pistons in the rear and 6 brake padlets and pistons in the front. They sell kits for front and rear, as the pistons need to be changed occasionally as well, especially if there is damage to any of them. But in this case, Pat is good and we just need to change the padlets, which I will now be referring to as pads. You don't need to remove the calipers to get the pads off. You can remove the pistons and the pads slide right off. That works great if you need to replace the pistons and the pads, but putting new pads in and aligning the pistons on reinstall can be a real pain and stretch your patience. It doesn't take much time to remove the 2 13/16 bolts holding the caliper on and removing the pads that way. Compressing the pistons also forces brake fluid back into the system, so be cautious to avoid overflow at the reservoir. If necessary, you can open the bleeder screw and drain any fluid that you push out into a pan as well. This is a good idea if you don't have any fluid in the system already. If the fluid is older but you're not doing a flush yet, it may be a good idea to use a fresh syringe or turkey baster to remove the fluid from the master cylinder and replace with fresh fluid as well. I put rags around the reservoir to avoid any messy cleanups later. Use a C-clamp, or in this case your hands, to compress the pistons into the caliper, being careful not to scratch the paint on the caliper. Then remove the old pads. These are the pads that we just took out, and these are the pads that we're going to be replacing them with. Clearly, they needed to be changed. So for this next step, you want to use the Ceramic Extreme Brake Parts Lubricant, and you would want to dab a little bit on the top of the brake pad. Make sure you get it over the little nubs. And then the tab faces down. You just want to put your new pads in, making sure you pay attention to how the old ones were in there. Put the caliper back on and tighten the caliper bolts to 125 pounds per foot. Before driving, pump the brakes a few times until you feel the resistance come back. This seats the pads back against the rotors. Use the proper burnishing as recommended by your pad manufacturer in order to get the best mating to the pads to the rotor long term. So, let's fire this piece up and take it for a spin. Thanks so much to Pat for coming coming down to help me with my YouTube videos and allow me a chance to work on his car. Just make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks, guys.